So now that I've seen Superman twice, I think it's time we get into some spoilers, talk about what happens in the movie, what it sets up for the DCU, the post-credit scenes, and stuff like that. I also just want to give more truthful thoughts on how I felt after a second viewing of the film, because honestly, some of my opinions may be changed. Before we get into it though, we're on the road to 4,000 subs. If you're new to this channel, I would love to have you here. Seriously, leave your comments with your thoughts and your theories, because I respond to all of them, and yeah, I'd love to have you here. All right, let's talk some spoilers for Superman.
I'm Spider-Man.
It's no big secret if you guys follow my channel, I'm a huge Marvel guy, and I was really kind of skeptical about the restart of the DCU, wanting it to be really good. I really liked the trailers, I was super excited for the movie, but even leading up to the film itself, I had some reservations. I have to be honest, I was a fan of Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman. I know that's a hot take, but this was really just something different. All that's to say is I'm really happy with what this movie did, even though it's not perfect. It's such a good time, from the opening where Superman is in the Fortress of Solitude, to meeting the Justice Gang, to seeing Lex Luthor in his pocket universe. Like I said in my spoiler-free review, this is a comic book come to life. With that being said, that kind of comes with maybe a gripe that I have, and that's the movie is maybe just a little bit too crowded. Not too crowded in the sense where it kind of overtakes the movie and I'm not sure what's going on, it's too convoluted. I just think that this is the first film in the DCU and they do so much. For you, that may not be a bad thing, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for me, but it's something I definitely noticed and maybe would have liked to see other things instead. For example, we get the whole introduction to Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, as well as Hawkgirl and the Justice Gang. We've also got Peacemaker, Stag Industries, a bunch of little DCU kind of Easter eggs that set up things that are to come down the line. You've got all the Daily Planet characters, which of course align with Superman, but along with Superman, you have Lex Luthor, who also has a gang of villains. You've got the Engineer, who I thought was really cool, as well as Ultraman, who turns out to be, spoiler alert, a clone of Clark Kent Superman. And this doesn't even get into Metamorpho and the black holes and the tearing realities, the universe thing. I mean, they're jumping in the deep end right from the get-go. And I can totally see some people's perspective of wanting to go into a Superman movie, just wanting that basic storyline, focusing on Clark and Lois, as well as just the Daily Planet gang and not having anything else. But this isn't really that. This movie has the tough job of not only starting the DCU and building the entire world, setting up things later down the line, but also trying to tell a story about Superman, one of the most popular DC characters, if not the most popular, even though I love Batman more. And I will say, just because the movie is very crowded, it doesn't mean I didn't like some of the stuff. I thought the Ultraman stuff and the cloning of Superman was really cool. I thought Lex Luthor was probably one of the best standouts along with Lois Lane in this film. But I maybe would have possibly preferred them to just pick one of those storylines and kind of go deeper into it, because I was really intrigued by the relationship between Lois and Clark at the beginning, having her kind of ask these ethical questions of Superman, invading countries and doing all of these things for the better of humankind, but not necessarily listening to the rules of the nation that he's technically from. Obviously, tons of political commentary and themes throughout this movie, but I really would have maybe liked to focus on that a little bit more versus having a bunch of different plot lines, such as the collapsing of kind of the world, as well as setting up the Justice Gang and all of that stuff. It all worked for me to an extent, but a lot of it was just kind of surface level. Don't take this the wrong way, because again, I really enjoyed this movie, but it's not that deep. And maybe Superman doesn't have to be that deep, and that's just because there's so many different characters and so many things to keep track of that you kind of maybe lose sight a little bit about the humanity of Superman. But then again, they kind of go into those themes as well, so I have mixed feelings on it. For example, like I just said, the scenes with Lois and Clark are great. There's a scene where Clark goes and visits his parents. That scene was great, but it's over in like 30 seconds. Now, forgive me if this is how it is in the comics, because again, I read Marvel comics mainly. I'm not really into DC that much, but I might after this movie. But Superman's parents being kind of evil, I don't know if that was a thing before, but I kind of enjoyed that. And that's yet another plot line that we're kind of having to tack onto everything else. They sent him here to destroy humanity, and that kind of creates the identity crisis within him, but it doesn't really make sense, because why does he think that he now has to make this decision to keep doing good or not do good? Because, well, he is a good person. Maybe that aspect, as well as the personal stuff with Superman, was a little half-baked, but the total product was so entertaining that it kind of just flew over my head the first viewing. But but was definitely a little more noticeable on my second viewing. Something I said in my spoiler-free review is that this movie kind of just stands on its own. You don't have to do any homework to see this, and it doesn't necessarily set up a sequel right afterwards. There's no big villain tease. It's a happy ending. It's a film with a general structure. They do, of course, have the ending where Supergirl pops up, the cousin of Kal-El, and I thought that was really cool and kind of excites me for that movie as well, considering that's going to be hopefully a very different story. But as far as the look and the feel and the kind of ambiance of the DCU, this is definitely way different than what was before. This truly does feel like a brand new era for DC, and this world is vibrant, it's bright, it's action-packed, and also metahumans and superheroes have existed for over 300 years now. We're not starting at the beginning, like for example the MCU does with Iron Man. Heroes already exist, Superman already exists, this isn't even his origin story. Some people may like that because we don't have to sit through the things that we've seen so many times again and again and again, but other people, again, younger kids, or people who are jumping into this the first time, this might be a little bit jarring, and people who I went to see the film with the second time agreed with that. Like I said in my spoiler-free review, I enjoyed all of the characters in this movie. I think all of them kind of stand out, especially Guy Gardner as well as Mr. Terrific. Even Lex Luthor just blew me away. It does feel really cheesy and superhero-y, and I think that's the point. It's James Gunn, for crying out loud. He's gonna have a good time with it. And some people may see that as a positive, and some people may see that as a negative. For me, some of the comedic moments hit, but other times I would have rather them dial it back a little bit to focus a little bit more on the serious themes of the film itself. I think there's a lot of storylines in this movie. I think there's a lot of different plot lines. We have Clark, of course, learning that his parents sent him to Earth in order to rule them, and he's kind of having this internal dilemma about that. We have the relationship between Clark and Lois. We have Lex Luthor's storyline. We have the Justice Gang. We also have the pocket dimension with Metamorpho. We've got Ultraman and the cloning of Superman. We've got this whole political ideology thing. As I've said so many times already in this video, there's a lot here. I will say there's several points in this movie that actually gave me chills. When the kid is raising up the flag in Jarapur trying to call Superman, that was really emotional. I also really enjoyed the scene where Superman is saving the woman from the building collapsing and you see him rise above the clouds. I think that was great. And I think my favorite action scene of the movie has to be after Superman deals with Ultraman and he starts taking out all of Lex Luthor's goons by spinning around with the laser beam. I mean, that just looked super cool. I have to say, visually, this movie looked fantastic. The CGI, not really any touchy moments at all for me personally. In 2025, that's a big win. Overall, I think this movie just doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's fun. It's a really good time, but if you're looking for something a little deeper, maybe we have to wait for that a little bit later on down the line with the DCU. Also, I mean, we can briefly talk about post-credit scenes because they don't really matter. They're just fun little tags, and I think that's what they're going to be moving forward. As far as the DCU itself goes and leading into the future, I think we're at a good starting point. Personally, I think we couldn't have asked for anything better, just jumping right into the middle of it, not having to wait years and years and years to build things up. Just give it to us now and let's build from it. I think David Corenswet is going to be a fantastic Superman in the future, and he really blew me away with this performance here, being that traditional Superman. I also feel like this is not the last we're going to be seeing of Lex Luthor, and I just really want to dive more into Lois Lane and his relationship because that was honestly a standout part for me. If I had to give this movie a numeric rating score, I honestly don't know if I can or want to yet because I want to sit on it a little bit more. After 2 viewings, I think it's kind of setting in now, but maybe, I mean, right now at least, I'd give it like an 8, I'd say. It's definitely a rewatchable movie that's such a blast to see on the big screen, and again, if you didn't watch my spoiler-free review, go see this in IMAX. It is amazing to see in that aspect ratio. I think the best thing is I'm just not disappointed, and I'm really looking forward to the next DCU film or TV show because this really kind of lit a fire for me. It's not perfect, it may not even be great, but it's really good to me. Most importantly though, I have to know what you think down below in the comments, so leave them all. I most likely will respond. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I will see you all very, very soon.